All right, go ahead.
All right, so this data set covers some basic housing data in different boroughs of London, and I'll be discussing how London has changed from 1999 to 2018 and try to look for trends or correlations in data. So the categories in this data set include mean salary, median salary, life satisfaction, percentage of households that recycle, population size, number of jobs, and borough area size. Along with the boroughs of London, it also includes selected regions of the UK so that we can compare. Some of them are like England, Wales, Yorkshire, and etc. This is just a quick sample of the dataset, so you can see what the categories are. Uh, since my data is grouped into boroughs, I wanted to show a map of all the boroughs in London. There are 33 different boroughs located in London and has City of London as its center. So this graph shows change in population size. Each borough has a population size between roughly 150,000 to 400,000. The only borough out of this range is City of London, which currently holds only 9,000 people in 2018. The dataset shows that population size increases every year in each borough, and the most populated borough currently is Barnet, uh, with 392,000 in 2018. But the borough with the biggest increase in population over the 19 years is Tower Hamlets. It increased by 124,000 people. Yeah, we can see that City of London has the lowest amount of growth over the 18 years. It only increased by 2,000 people. And under each slide, I've just put like a summary. So this graph plots median salary beside house percentage of households that recycle in different boroughs of London. I picked 2018 because recycling percentage data didn't go that far back, so I thought the latest data would be most appropriate. And we can see that there's no real correlation between the two categories. There's some high income boroughs, like City of London, that have kind of lower recycling percentages, like City of London, Tower Hamlets, and places like Barnet, they recycle a lot, but they have lower median salary compared to Tower Hamlets or City of London. There's another summary. Now this graph shows the change in mean salary over the 19 years. Similar to the population graph, it shows that it's increased over time in every borough. The borough with the highest current mean salary is City of London, at about £92,000 annually, and the borough with the lowest is Bexley, with £34,000. The highest increase is also City of London, and the smallest increase is Hillingdon. We can use this data to compare to other regions in the UK, such as, other data points such as England as a whole. We can see that it's all roughly the same area as England, other than these selected few like City of London, Tower Hamlets, and Westminster. Summary. Now this is a graph that shows life satisfaction in London. Life satisfaction is also one of the newer data that's been collected. It's only been collected for the past 8 years, I think. But it does show us that life satisfaction in London is generally quite high. It's all in the range between 7 to 8, and this is out of 10. So I think that's pretty good. Probably see a correlation between mean salary and life satisfaction, but it looks like there really isn't a correlation between the two. Some high income boroughs like Westminster, from this one you can see Westminster is pretty high income, but uh, it's only like kind of average in life satisfaction. But Sutton, on the other hand, has pretty high um, life satisfaction. and it was one of the lower income boroughs. I like to compare number of jobs to population size. So I actually made two graphs here, one in 2000 and one in 2018. But over the course of 18 years, not much has changed. The jobs have seemed to increase at a similar rate in every borough. But using these graphs, we can see that we can look at where unemployment rates may be high. For instance, maybe in Croydon, somewhere here, yeah, Croydon, they have really high population size, but low number of jobs. But this could also mean that uh, people might not be working in their own boroughs. Like people in Croydon could be just traveling to City of London.
Okay, time to wrap it up.
Oh yeah, okay. Finally, I just want to circle back to the map. So the highest number of jobs and mean salaries seem to be in the city center. For example, Westminster, Tower Hamlets, and City of London are all in the center, and they all have the highest number of jobs and mean salaries, while Barkingham and Dagenham is kind of on the outskirts, and they have low mean salary and low amount of jobs. Yeah, this is some conclusions from the dataset. Thank you.
Nice one. That was very good. There was some really interesting things there. I don't know how interesting that is to everyone else who like hasn't lived in London, but it was good to see all those values and like be able to compare them to how I think about the world. Um, I have a few questions about sort of representation. I think you've got this kind of trade-off with your graphs here that you've got those those dots as a way of demonstrating time. And I think that actually works quite well for you as a thing that you can read. But at small scale, it's quite hard to read. And so it's difficult to tell whether, what the kind of rate of increase there is. So the spread is very helpful, but it
Okay,
might be worth experimenting with those as line graphs as well, so that you can
okay.
see what the angle is on those line graphs. And then on your paired bar graphs,
Yeah, this
those
one.
might be interesting as scatter graphs because you can see then like who's in the top right hand corner, like who recycles a lot and earns a lot of money. Is there any sort of trend between them? But with
Okay.
scatter graphs, it's much more difficult to label them. So you might want
Yeah.
to like you might want to have both graphs and say, look, this is this and this is this and this is the one that's labeled. So these are much easier to label, but they're much more difficult to read, if that
Yeah.
makes any sense. So I
Yep.
think you've just got some interesting questions to answer around representation. What's the best way to do it? I thought your introduction was very clear. You had very clear verbal descriptions of all of the graphs. You clearly understand what's going on. I did wonder about this box plot one. So life satisfaction, how is that represented to you? Because box plots tend to be a summary of what's going on. And so do they give you a mean and a median, interquartile range and all that kind of stuff? Or like how does
Uh,
that work?
no. So, this line in the middle is the mean. No, the
Yeah,
median. Sorry, and this is the upper quartile, lower quartile, and this is
yeah,
the top two lowest, highest and lowest values, and these are kind
good.
of the outliers.
Right. But is that taken over time? Like is that
Yep,
over?
it's over the
Oh,
8 years.
gotcha. Okay. So there's 8 values summarized in each of those columns.
Yep.
Right. Gotcha. Good. Um, and then the other thing I thought that was good to do was when you compared it to the rest of the UK, so you could see how that was doing in context. But
Yeah.
overall, I thought that was very good.
Yep. Thank you.